Start with a different piece of music today. Yes. That's how we're feeling today, guys. On another episode of the Late Afternoon Show, it's your boy Tim, Mr. Meaningful Work. Yes. I did a cover on this about impact. Go check out. Let us know where you are joining us from in the chat. That's the way that we know that you are live with us on LinkedIn or on YouTube. If you guys want to know where this track is, it's called Rooftop Summer by E. Jones. I did a little rap about impact, how you got to know what your strengths are. You got to take action. You got to connect with the right people. You got to focus. You got to level up. You got to trust in God. So I want you guys to go check that out. But I was listening to it before we started. I just wanted to continue that vibe. But we're about to go to our regularly scheduled late afternoon show. Hey, what's up, Tech Ty? In the house? You're in the DR right now? How come everybody gets fancy vacations? All right, where's the late afternoon show's playlist? Here we go. All right, let's go. Yes, it's all about those good vibrations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited. We got Mr. Reggie Waterman on the show today. Mr. Spark Wonder himself. But we're about to drop. Go. Vibrations. Hey. Oh, baby, you and me. Oh, listen. Let us know where you're joining us from. Some folks are on the islands. Some folks are stateside. Some folks are international. Let us go. Vibrations. Hey, Tech Ty, how is it in no vacay? Come on, Ty. You always working. You're always working, even on vacation. If you guys want to learn about reskilling and upskilling, go check out Tech Ty. T. Sees a good opportunity. We're just giving you guys a few minutes to join the show. Electric magnetism in the air. Out of nowhere. Let's go. It starts to warm up over here in Northern California. What's the weather where you're at? Oh, vibrations. Oh, baby, you and me. Let's go. Let's go. We're about to start the show on another late afternoon. Hey. All right, we're going to give it about 30 more seconds. Vibrations. Let folks know that we've started. Tag them into the chat. Send a little airplane thing. Post it on your LinkedIn. Reshare it. Tim is live with Reggie in the house. Let's go. Oh my God. Had to let down my guard. Oh, yeah. Yes. There we go. Come on, man. Everybody's business. Electric magnetism in the air. We want to attract good vibes. It's all about that magnetism, guys. I must have. Hey. You give me those good vibrations. Let's go. Let's start the show. All right. I'm not going to be a bad DJ and play the whole song. You're only supposed to play 30 seconds of the song, but I'll be playing the whole song. Sorry for misbehaving. I'm just so excited to be out here on another edition of the Late Afternoon Show, Season 5 of the Late Afternoon Show. I don't even know what episode we're on. We're on a big number because we're about rounding it off. Actually, come to think about it, next week is our season finale. So we are almost done with the season 5 of the late afternoon show. And so you do not want to miss these nuggets. You do not want to miss these nuggets. And I am super stoked to be talking with, we were just talking in the green room before about like influencers and public figures. And, you know, when I put the announcement that Reggie was coming on the show, different folks were sending me either comments on the post or private messages. It's like, Reggie, you got Reggie. Oh, Reggie is wonderful. Oh, Reggie, you got Reggie. Reggie's this. Reggie's that. I was like, dang, this is Reggie doing this out here. He's out here making impact. And so we talked about, you know, public figures. Like, nah, I want to be a hidden figure behind the scenes. I was like, man, that's my guy. That's my kind of guy. So I want to, without further ado, let you guys see and hear the man, the wonder himself. Where is my crowd? Where is my crowd? Hey, let's give it up. Let's give it up for Mr. Reggie Waterman. Let's go. Let's go. Yes.
Tim, I gotta say, man, you were doing the 2-step in a chair.
Yo.
I can imagine what you look like on the dance floor. You just tearing the floor.
Yo, man, if only I had more space. This virtual setting doesn't allow me to be great, but we do what we can, my man.
Oh, man, that's impressive. Now, listen, now I'm very excited to be on this show.
Man, I am as well. My man, Reggie, thank you so much for spending some time with us on vacation. So everybody's out here on vacation. Brian, what's good, my man?
Brian Shulman is in the virtual building.
In the building. Hold on, where's my crowd? Hey, Brian is in the building. Thank you. Give it up for Brian, everybody. Give it up for Brian. All right, calm down. All right. But man, you're on vacation. T's on vacation. Where are you at? Where are you joining us from today?
Yes. Hola, buenas noches, everybody. I am tuning in or doing this live interview from Medellin, Colombia. Yes.
Have you been doing some what are they dance salsa, right? Is it salsa? A little what is like the big dance?
Merengue. I don't got those moves like you do, you know. If I get up a little bit, you might steal something.
Yo, just say the word. We'll put some merengue. I promise you, we're gonna put some merengue music at the end of this. We're about to keep it true to the culture, man. So you're out there. Where are you normally based when you're not vacationing in exotic places? Where are you normally based?
In the cold country called Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Toronto, Canada. But we have summer, so during the summertime it gets
it's like a week of summer, is it?
Yeah, a little bit, like 5 days. Yeah.
Toronto, T-Dot. That's what's up, man. And so instead of reading off a bio, it looks like the folks that are coming in already are very familiar with who Reggie is, the impact that he's having on the world. I mean, recognized by LinkedIn as one of their favorite Black creators. I mean, in my circles, anytime that I'm trying to find folks that are aligned in the same mindset, talking about purpose and meaningful work, I mean, Reggie's name is there. But in lieu of reading all of that, Reggie, tell us, what are you famous for?
Well, Frank's Red Hots. Like he stole my idea. Believe it or not, I'll let him have this one.
That could have been you.
Could have been me. Could have been me.
Yo, we need to hear that story, man.
Yeah, we'll save that for another show.
We'll save that for episode part 2.
But what am I famous for? I want to say maybe a couple things when it comes to like LinkedIn and creating content. Just especially during the pandemic, I facilitated a show called Discover Your Other Self. And just like building up that good vibrations, I was like one of the first people to actually bring on a live DJ as my intros to kind of create that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Tim on, we got Brian on here, and he likes to vibe out, and I took that. He was on the show as well, but it was about telling stories of struggle, stories of, how did you overcome challenges within life, right?
Yeah.
And it was about bringing on guests to tell those stories.
Yes.
As a result of that, I actually published a book called
Let's
Discover Yourself.
go.
It's a live show.
And he's an author. Hey, give it up for authors out here. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I
Thank
see
you.
Nancy
Thank you.
Deborah.
Thank
Nancy
you.
Deborah's in the virtual building too.
In the building. What's up, Nancy? What's up, Nancy? Man, you bringing the whole tribe.
Yeah,
Nice.
shout out to DJ D Money. Yeah, DJ D Money
D
was
Money.
DJ that accompanied me on Discover Yourself journey, and that was awesome. The other thing I would say that I'm famous for would be creating a program for college and university students when it comes to helping them be successful post graduation and telling them what's not in a textbook. So giving them the formula in terms of how to build and foster relationships through networking, how to leverage LinkedIn as a tool to establish connections. Telling them about the bad boss and how to navigate that and actually choose the right boss.
How to choose the right boss. And why do you think that's so important to talk to college students about?
Because these are the things that they don't really talk about in a textbook or hear from your professor. So it's really practical tools and know-how on how to really navigate the real life experience. When you come out of school, you kind of have no idea about how to break ground in this new world. It's uncharted territories.
Yeah.
It's really kind of packaged that, all those elements together in a practical, simple form that's not theory based, but a lot of it's based on real life experiences that I've been through and a lot of others within my network.
What's Brian talking about, your alien filter? What's that about?
No, Brian, and again, shout out to Brian. He's got a show, shout out Saturdays.
Yes.
And one on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And I was gracious enough to get a chance to go on the show. And, I think it was Halloween, if I remember, Brian. Correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone was wearing, I wore a mask, and it was an alien mask.
And now we talk about, look, I want folks to put their questions and comments. We got to talk about your abs, man. I know I'm on an ab journey myself. I'm out here trying my daughter told me, I told my kids to remind me this morning. I was like, yo, remind me to go to the gym today. And my son was like, why? And then my daughter was like, cause your stomach is squishy. I was like, girl, shut up.
Nancy, thanks, Nancy. No, but Nancy's being generous. Like I'm working on my one pack,
There we
Hopefully
go.
I'll get,
It starts with one. It starts with one. It starts with one. And then you move on. Dude, so no, I was just gonna say. So, I'm really interested to hear about the book. So you said you had, the podcast, the conversations, and that experience was able to be the catalyst for the book. Talk to us a little bit about that journey of putting that experience, putting those learnings into a book format. What did you learn along that journey?
I learned a lot. It took me 11 months to actually publish that book.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of precursor activities, and Brian, I'm going to save you too, because I want to actually shout him out again and show my appreciation, because his story is also incorporated within the book, but I'll get to that part right there.
Yeah.
The precursor elements were the seeds that were planted throughout the process, right? I never really saw myself becoming an author, and it's weird. Like now people will say, hey, what do you do? And now I could author within that description.
Let's go.
Anyways, the planting of the seeds was, I remember being on lunch one day at work, and I was reading a book, and someone asked me that, what book am I reading? And I told them the title of it, and they said, hey, you got to stop reading other people's books and write your own. So I was like, write my own? What do you mean write my own? I read other people's books. I don't write. Right?
Yeah.
But that was one seed. The second seed was when I went through the journey of facilitating those live shows on LinkedIn. Someone just randomly in the audience sent me a message on the side saying, you know what, the series that you're doing, you should make a book out of it. I was like, okay. So it's like 2 seeds are planted. And then I'm like, maybe this thing has legs. Maybe they're right. And then when I had people come on the show like Brian and others,
Yeah.
you know, again, they graciously were able to be vulnerable and come on the show, share their hardships, share their struggles. And I know it's not easy to share their stories,
Yeah.
but that's the only way that we can make impact as a collective. And I was able to incorporate select stories from those conversations and integrate some of my own personal hardships and how I felt on rock bottom, and
Yeah.
that rock bottom was able to help me um, put me on a new path of excellence, success, and so forth. So I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of bring it all together and make it all intertwined.
I love that. Discover your other self. How did you was there a did that I'm looking at the image right now of the mask, the lights, and I mean the words in the back, the words across the top. What was the inspiration for that image on the top of the book?
Yeah, the so I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of us are wearing masks, right?
Hmm.
And what I wanted to showcase was once you take your mask off,
Mm.
you're actually revealing your true self. There's
Mm.
that like little inner voice within us that says, "Hey Tim, like let me do this, let me do that."
Yeah.
But a lot of it, a lot of times we quiet that voice because it could be fear, it could
Yeah.
be fear of success, fear of failure,
Yeah.
and kind of keep that other self trapped inside.
Yeah.
So if we take off the mask and we reveal who we truly are and who we want to be and be unapologetic for who we are,
Yeah.
you could actually live a fulfilled life.
Mm. I resonate with your story so much because it's not completely identical, but um, very similar. Because I have been playing with the idea of writing a book and similar things. Folks would say something, something, somebody write a book, something, 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 write a book, and I'm like, I'm not an author. I don't have interesting story. Like I haven't been doing this, long enough, and really just giving excuses not to. Um, and then anytime I even did consider it, I was like, but there's so many other books out there, right? So if we're talking about professional development or we're talking about like self-help or things like that, there's so many other voices and folks that have already said that. Did you battle that as far as like, when we're talking about potential and purpose and your other self, did you battle that and think like there's so many other people talking about this? Why should I be the one talking about this? And if you did, how did you get over or through that?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Tim. My lighting went off for a minute.
Oh
Sorry, I was
no.
trying to get reconnected here. Sorry about that.
Are you good?
Yeah, no, no, sorry. So the question was about. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I was just saying that, in my journey, as far as thinking about or exploring writing of a book, there was a lot of, I would limit myself in saying, like, first, I don't have enough of a story. I haven't been doing this long enough. And I don't have enough content to be able to share in a book form. But then even if I did write a book, there's so many other people that are talking about meaningful work and purpose and all these different things. And like, what would make my literature any different? And so in your book that talks about releasing your potential, is that something that you thought through or battled through? Like, there's just going to be
Oh,
another book about,
of course. I'm like,
potential and self-help.
you think like who's gonna want to read your story or listen
Yeah.
to your story, so forth,
Yeah.
right? So that insecurity pops out at you,
Yeah.
and you have to realize that, hey, you got to be able to share your stories. You can't hoard those stories because if you do, you're not going to make the impact that you potentially make
Yeah.
for others. Your story, believe it or not, will resonate with one or a couple of people. And even if
Right.
it's just one person, imagine making that impact on that one
Yeah.
person. You're
Yeah.
change that person's life, right? And
Yeah.
that's what we have to think about. But of course, I went through that whole process. Like even there's the part where through the editing process,
Yeah.
you're like, God, like it's done, right? You
Yeah.
go through cycles,
Yeah.
but then now you gotta, because I self-published my book,
Yeah.
and then I have, as soon as I hit that button to submit it for publishing,
Mm-hmm.
just before I hit that button, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna go out into the universe. Like that was the most anxious time, and I was just like, oh my god, what if I
Yeah.
make it like if there's a spelling error? What if I offended somebody based on what I
Yeah.
said? All those things come into your mindset. You just have to, you know, put that to the side. And again, it always comes back to the why. Why am I putting out this book? Well, it's to make impact. It's to help people discover their purpose. At the same time, it's to help people understand that they're not alone if they are going through challenges and hardships throughout life, because we all go through
Yeah.
that, right? That's what life is about.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And for folks that are in the chat, folks that are still with us, if you have questions for Reggie, please, we're going to be taking those questions, answering them as we see them coming in. But I want to talk a little bit about your other job, your day job, working in marketing. And again, something close to my heart. I got my degree in marketing. My first job out of college was in marketing at Hewlett Packard. And so marketing is very, very close to my heart. So talk to us a little bit about what you do in the marketing space.
Yeah, so I work for a software company in Canada, so Whitby, Canada, so just outside of Toronto. But I do marketing for that organization. It's a mid-sized company. But my job actually has transitioned from creating content such as blogs, white papers, podcasts, live streams. You know, that was to help generate awareness, drive consideration, manage conversions. Because at the end of the day, you want to generate leads, right? You want to turn those leads into conversions. My job recently has actually transitioned into a net new position, which is the director of community.
Of community?
Community. And the
Nice.
reason why is my boss recognized, and she loved the content that I put out there for LinkedIn. Discover yourself.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel like you have a good sense and presence in terms of how to actually create a community, cultivate it, and keep them engaged. So can you do that for our brand? So imagine having the opportunity to tell customer stories through live video chats, like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
If we're able to if we're able to elevate customer success stories, and that translates into like customer happiness.
Yeah.
That will resonate with any of the audience that is actually looking at our brand.
Absolutely.
To be a solution, right?
Yeah.
At the
Absolutely.
day, this is to solve a problem.
Yeah.
How does that experience, how does the customer experience translate into something that's positive?
Yeah.
And that we can scale it out to, garnish up more market share, drive more leads for our business, and so forth.
Awesome, dude. And as you were talking, it reminded me what you said before, as far as what you share with students about, getting ready to enter into the workforce. So I'm wondering, are there any insights that you've seen doing marketing and community for businesses and brands? Are there things that translate to people and personal brands? Like, what are things that are companies doing to get themselves out there in the community from an awareness standpoint that individuals can be doing to get themselves out there from a community standpoint? Are there any parallels there at all that you see?
Oh, there's definite parallels, Tim, and that's a good point. I actually teach that as part of my workshops for the students.
Nice.
And at the end of the day, when you look at your personal brand, think of yourself like Nike. Nike's a brand, but Nike, their brand is made up of people, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have your marketing department, you have your finance department, you have operations, you have the people that are actually creating the merchandise, right? And Nike has a tagline, right? Just do it. But there's also a value for Nike, right? At the end of the day, they're taking the average person and actually communicate to them that they could actually be athletes. You don't have to be a pro athlete.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, in the NBA, in Major League Baseball, whatever, to be an athlete. You can just be an average person, right?
Yeah.
And look good wearing my gear and stay active. But from a personal brand standpoint, you need to identify, well, what's your value proposition? What do you have to offer, right? What makes you unique and different? How could you add value? So you as a brand, if you are able to build out your value proposition or your mission statement in a clear, concise manner that really aligns with what you can actually deliver on,
Yeah.
then you are, as a personal brand, going to attract your audience, right? Whether it be companies, whether it be potential partnerships, whether it be
Yeah.
collaborators,
Yeah.
right? That's how you could actually build out a community as well.
So it starts with, so businesses, just to summarize, so businesses, brands are clear on their value proposition. What is my unique offering, perspective, service, whatever it is that I do to add value? You know, when you think of value, that's something that makes the other person's life better in some way, right? So as an individual, we can think about, okay, so what is my unique value proposition as the first step? Articulating that, and then the next step, like the next thing, is putting it out there. I mean, I think it was like, how do we
Correct.
get that value proposition out there and finding folks that are aligned to that? Is that right?
That's exactly it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And like
The-
getting it out there is, and I always tell the students, don't be afraid to create content, right? What you're doing right now, Tim, for you, for your community, is you are putting out valuable, and I'm gonna use your words because I use that the same word too, nuggets,
yeah.
right? You put out valuable nuggets to your audience
Yeah.
so that you can walk away with something. And they look at you as, Tim, wow, you keep us engaged, you keep the good vibes for us going,
Yeah.
flowing, right?
Yeah.
Like even Megan, hey, shout out Megan on in Memphis, and
Yeah.
thank you for the questions that you asked. But you see, she asked a question even before the show started.
Yeah.
But that speaks to the brand, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you don't do these things, you don't create the content, no one's gonna know that you really exist.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be out there. Folks got to see it. And to that point, I wanted to bring up Megan's question. Megan, thank you so much. Megan from Memphis in the house. Thank you so much for asking the question in the promotional post. So he said, I read in your quote about wonder and curiosity. Those words reminded me that FedEx taught us to approach situations and people with curiosity. Is this approach more helpful for content creators, marketers, or both, and why? And I know you answered a little bit in the comments, and so if folks want to see what he went, just go to or a couple posts ago. But can you answer that again as far as the value of curiosity, the approach of curiosity, and if that's helpful for creators, marketers, both?
Yeah, and you know what I really loved about that question, because it was a good question. It tied in with the theme of curiosity. You know, Megan saw, what I mentioned or my quote, whatever,
Yeah.
and that sparked curiosity in her to then ask the question.
Yeah.
And I responded by saying it applies to both marketers and just content creators, or just anybody at the end of the day. If you think about it, all of us have a purpose on this earth, whether you choose to believe it or not. Right?
Tell them.
And you, at the end of the day, have to go on a journey to find out what that purpose is. Once you discover that purpose, it is up to you to create that wonder. And remember, it goes back to the value proposition that we talked about.
Yeah.
What is that unique, what is that unique value that you have to offer of the world, right?
Yeah.
When you create curiosity in the world, then you spark innovation, you spark creativity, right? It showcases that you're able to evolve as an individual.
Yeah.
Every time I'm creating wonder, I want to create an experience, a memorable experience.
Yeah.
That people will truly never forget.
Yeah.
But that experience that they have with me, I often, obviously more often than none, is I want to make it positive.
Yes.
So once they interact with me, they know they leave the conversation feeling great. Like even for your audience today, I'm hoping that any messages that they are able to retain, it resonates with them in the manner that, hey, they're able to take it away and maybe apply it to their life, right?
Yeah.
This value exchange that we talk about in terms of wonderment is about creating something different that people just generally do not see, but at the same time, it speaks to who you truly are within your core value and your spirit.
Absolutely.
Um, I think about, you know, a brand, and we're talking about a company here, but like Apple.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to make that parallel towards the human side. But if you think about Apple, every year they are doing what? Releasing a new iPhone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In that new iPhone, there's upgrades to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it be camera to new apps that they built to, or processors to make it faster
Yeah.
and so forth, to improve the customer experience. Think about it as a person, as an individual.
Yeah.
We need to continuously evolve. Whether it is, you talked about upskilling, and you talked
Yeah.
about that. I forget her name, but she's from
Thai, tech Thai,
Hi,
T. Yeah.
Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
But reskilling, all these things, we need to
Yeah.
reinvent ourselves year over year. Whether it be learning a new skill, adding those tricks to our tool belt, so that we can
Yes.
create wonderment and create that curiosity that leads to
Yes.
innovation, sparks creativity.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So well said. So well said. And I do want to address Megan's question. So curiosity as a recruiter, absolutely. As a learner, starts with the values. Even with this, she had asked a question as far as, does this relate to lifelong learning? And I think we kind of answered this. That curiosity, yeah, it does relate to lifelong learning. You need to be constantly iterating, constantly growing, constantly developing. In fact, I was this. I spoke about impact a few weeks ago to a university, William Jessup University out here, and we talked about impact and put together a little acronym about that. It starts with me. Like, I need to know what my values are. I need to know what my strengths are. What really gets me going. What are my strengths? Megan talks a lot about strengths. She's a certified strengths coach. So also shout out to Megan. If folks want strengths training, strengths coaching, and things like that, Megan is certified. Hit her up, connect with her, certified through Gallup. But it starts with me. I got to know what my strengths are, what activates me. Taking that, making that move, right? You got to take an action. So yes, I know what it is. And then I got to move. I got to plug it into something and do something, even if it's 5 minutes a day that activates that strength. People, connections, relationships. Like, if you want to go fast, you do it by yourself. You want to go far, you connect with other folks to do that. But to that element of curiosity is advance, level up. Don't just stay where you're at, right? In that skill that be curious about, how can I get better at this? How do I get better at podcasting? How do I get better at marketing, right? I think something that was really cool that your company just did real time was recognize, okay, we've been approaching this from a marketing perspective. It looks like there's another way to do this. Let's shift to community, right? And that's growth. That's development. How do we do marketing differently? And that shows growth and advancement. And then C and impact is just, focusing. Like, some folks try to do multiple priorities, and that's not even how the word is defined. Like, you can't have multiple firsts, right? You got to have one, focus on that, and knock it out. And then the T is just a spiritual aspect of trusting in God. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're confused, if you're lost, like, you can reach out and get some guidance there too. But yeah, man, I mean, that wonder, that curiosity, creating that space for innovation, that's really where you're going to get the best work, right? That's where you're going to get the best work.
No, and it's true, and I love your acronym. No,
Yeah.
on the impact and the way that you utilize that term, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And I love the T, where it's put your trust in God.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that is God is your North Star, and God will put you in the right path and direction.
Yeah.
Megan, she was a recruiter. Is that what you mentioned?
Yeah. So she
Right?
does. Yeah.
So if you think about it from a recruiter standpoint, it's when she's interviewing potential candidates, there's definitely a level of curiosity there in terms of even her doing the first initial reach out. There's curiosity, and then once you meet them virtually or face to face for an interview, it's like, okay, well, I want to learn more about you. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Right? How do you continue to spark that curiosity, and how's that going to translate to
Yeah.
the actual job that you're applying for. Because how are you going to continuously take to that next level by continuously adding value and reinventing
Yeah.
yourself, but also upskilling and upgrading yourself so that, again, you're being more impactful in the organization.
Yeah.
Also, one thing, like, I do want to touch upon this, and I love the title of, you know, of this live stream and everything that you do, Tim. Like, you know, Mr. Meaningful Work, right? If you
Yeah.
think about what's happening with the Great Resignation, and what's more, the numbers are you know, astronomical, especially in the United States relative to Canada.
Yeah.
But one other thing that I'm looking at personally to see what I could do as part of making impact is going from the Great Resignation to the Great Rehumanization. And what I
Rehumanization.
yes, and what that means. And here's the curiosity part. And this is how I create wonder.
Yeah.
So how can we collectively help organizations become human again? If you think about the landscape where obviously a lot of us are working remotely. Obviously some have gone back to the office and so forth. A lot of us were working remotely, so we feel disconnected. How do we continuously build that engagement so that our staff, they're more engaged, they're more productive, they're more satisfied? How do we do that?
Yes.
So what it's all about is putting together a framework to teach leaders on how to create that connection, how to make the work more meaningful for their employees so that they are feeling valued, they're feeling you know, elevated, they're visible, because there's a lot of anonymity, right, when it comes to working, you know, remotely, right?
Yes.
And then most importantly, it's from a leadership standpoint, I want to be able to listen to you. I want to be able to ask questions. And I'm curious to know, what new ideas do you have?
Yes.
Ask a simple question like that, like, you know, do you have any new ideas? Or what do you think about X, Y? That's when you empower your people to come up with new ideas, inventions, and so forth. And it's not so top down.
Yes. You said that rehumanization, and I'm not trying to get all political here, but we had a very catchy phrase during the elections here of, you know, making America great again. I just thought about it, of make companies human again, right? Making company, because all companies, all businesses are people, right? They're all people. They're all individuals with goals, with dreams, with ideas and things like that. And oftentimes, you know, we get, as the more we scale, the bigger we get, it's almost as if like the less human we become. It's more about process, and it's about, you know, brand that's separate from the, you know, from the individual. And when we come back down to, it's the people, it's the relationships, it's the thoughts, it's the listening, it's the empathy, and like those companies that are focused on that and are coming back to their human roots, like those are the ones that are winning. So thank you so much, Nicholas, for joining us. Megan, for folks that are still here with us, we are talking with Mr. Reggie Waterman,
Shout out
author.
to Nicholas.
Shout out to Nicholas. Shout out to Nicholas. But one thing I want to kind of, as we come to the end here, is this meaningful work, this idea of meaningful work, and how we my whole idea was to make it as practical as possible, right? Because you hear meaningful work and it's a very kind of nebulous, you know, it takes on a bunch of meanings, and it wasn't like real. And I want to make meaningful work, you hear it and you can apply it right away. So I've been gathering definitions over the last 2 years of, you know, what meaningful work looks like for folks in different industries at different stages of their career, employees, employers, entrepreneurs, enthusiasts, and things like that. But one thing I do want to ask you, based on your experience, is how would you define meaningful work?
It's a great question. So the way I define it is, A, fulfillment. Am I feeling fulfilled in my day-to-day job? Comes in different forms, right? Whether it be
Yes.
happiness, whether it be the ability to feel empowered, like I'm feeling empowered, and then that empowerment means I can actually come up with ideas, and my leadership team would actually listen. See, Megan just
Yes.
mentioned it right there. See, Jinx,
Yes.
Megan, Jinx.
Boom.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I feel like someone's listening to me,
Yeah.
listening to my ideas, giving me enough runway
Yeah.
so that I can create. There's nothing worse than going to a job and feeling like you are just in a box. And the way I kind of describe it is being like a dog in a crate for like 10 hours, and I just as soon as that dog comes out of the crate, it's just running all over the place.
Yeah.
I want to feel that creative freedom so that I could feel like I am adding value, that I am contributing to the
Yeah.
evolution of the organization that I'm working for. So that's what meaningful work to me means. It also means that, the word alignment I use a lot is you need to align your values with the company's values. If they don't align, you're wasting each other's time, right? So that's very important. It could come in the form of, what kind of contribution can you make from a community standpoint, right? Is there underprivileged, if I think about underprivileged countries, is the organization helping out, through mission
Yeah.
work and
Yeah.
and nations,
Yeah.
So that's the way I would describe it.
So there is fulfillment in there. There is alignment in there. We had, I don't know if you see, I don't know if it's probably reads backwards here, but one of our guests had talked about fulfillment in their definition, and I just loved it so much I made a shirt. Impactful and fulfilling. So the full is kind of like in the middle. So impactful, fulfilling, and that's meaningful work. So you have to get that personal fulfillment. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and impact externally. Like this is the world is like, yeah, we feel that. Like this is we're benefiting from what you're supposed to be doing, and then you bring those things together. And then if you can align that, if there's an organization that's maybe doing, I was like, oh yeah, that's a company that's doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing and impacting the world in the way that we feel we need to be doing. And it's like it's all just fuzzy and cozy and all the way.
Yeah.
All the way through.
But then also, sorry, there's one more thing I want to say that I want to say that's meaningful too. We use the term growth so loosely, very loosely.
Talk to us about that.
Every organization will say, and Megan, you probably resonate with this in your for your recruiting cycles, but a lot of organizations would say, we have a lot of growth opportunities within our organization, right? It's like the carrot. But do you really have a lot of growth opportunities?
Yeah.
What does that look like, right? Do you have a career development plan framework or structure
what does that we could actually, like?
Yeah. So is that framework already developed? Can we look over that career development plan periodically, whether it be quarterly, whether it be annually, and can we start tracking the actual progress so that I can actually see the growth over time? Or are you just going to throw out that term like every other company uses and just to kind of keep me engaged, but not really engaged?
Yeah. And that's like, I'm glad you brought that up because people want growth. So folks will say growth. But then what's most annoying is when they don't actually see, right? They don't actually see or feel that thing. Is like you feel like you got bamboozled. It's like, man, I thought we were going to be like developing, or we're going to at least have the conversations, right? To at least, and you can't do growth if you're not curious, right? You can't do growth. I can't grow you as a leader, Reggie, if I don't know how you want to grow. I need to get that. Like it just ties in. You can't, right?
Yeah.
So it all comes back. It all comes back. All comes back. Reggie, what is one way that we can add value to you as you are growing your brand, as you're going out and living out your purpose in this world? What's something that we can do either to connect with you or to connect with your products or your services? What does that look like for us to help you out, man?
Yeah, connect with me through LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. So my IG handle is reggie.waterman. But what I love the most is just ask me questions. Send me
Yeah.
a DM and ask me any question so that I could, add value to you. The way to add value
Yeah.
through your questions, because I love
Yeah.
thought-provoking conversations. It's
Yeah.
about how do we help, continue on this path of progressiveness together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love it.
Is it
I love it.
progressive in the word?
Progress. What did you say?
I said progressiveness. I'm like, is that even a word?
It is now. We said it live. Many people heard it.
Megan,
It is
Megan,
now. Progressiveness. Let's just tag Webster's dictionary or Oxford and let's them add it to it. But because in the spirit of Colombia, we are going to do. Let's see what kind of merengue. Let's see. Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to sign out for another episode of the Late Afternoon Show. Check us out next week. Hey! It's Reggie Waterman, y'all. Tim, Mr. Meaningful Work. Any thoughts that you have, hit us up. Let me get this out of the way. Hey, 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 hey. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Hey, Colombia.